Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show us how to install GitLab. GitLab used to be just a repository management tool, but now GitLab is even more a complete DevOps platform delivered a single application from project planning and source code management to CI/CD. So GitLab is now a full DevOps toolchain. It does way more than just repository management. And I'm going to show us how to install GitLab. I'm going to follow the official documentation. If you go to this link right here about the gitlab.com install, if you go to that page, it is going to give us options on different So this is going to give us different platforms, different distros, operating system. But since I'm running CentOS 6, I'm going to click on this, and here we go. So I'm just going to follow the installation step. We have about 3 steps to this installation. The first one is to run this right here. But before then, let me install the pen release, and I'll make sure my firewall is not running. So I just disable my firewall, and I'm going to start by installing those packages. And after that, I am going to run this. Installation is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to install postfix. Start postfix. Put it on auto start, and we'll run our GitLab repository like that. And now I am going to run the install of GitLab. However, let's note, if you have a fully qualified domain name that is set up to be resolvable, we can replace this gitlab.example with that fully qualified domain name. But if not, I recommend you use your IP address. In this case, I'm going to change that to my IP address. Which is 10.10.10.62, I believe. Yeah, that's right. And we can now go ahead and run this right here. And that should do it for us. This is gonna take some time. This is gonna take some time. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video while we wait for the installation to be done. So our installation is done, completed. And now let's go to our browser. After the installation is done, make sure you have the HTTPS, and we should have this. In some cases, it's going to give you another browser. Tender 62 HTTPS. So when you get things like this, okay, it's just saying the certificate is not signed by authorized certificate authority. So you can click on detail and go to the web page. You're saying, don't worry, you know, and it's going to bring you here. This is where you now assign a password for your GitLab. By default, the user is going to be root. Now we can assign a password. Okay, so I just did a password and I can now sign in properly. Root and password. So this is our GitLab. Okay, so a few things I want us to start with. Okay, like I said, GitLab is a repository management tool. Your developer wants to check in their code, you want to manage things. So ideally, let me do this. So let's say I have two teams. Okay, I have two teams. I have team A, and I have team B. These are different teams working on different applications. I can decide to create a group for these two different teams and say team A, right? And I can make this private for team A. This is team A's group, and I can go back to my project and create another group and call it team B. This is team B's group. So now I have two teams on my GitLab. Two groups, rather, group A and group B. So let's say I have two users, one for team A, one for team B. See where it says users. I can come here and say new user. Okay, I can say new user. The name is Olu. Joe. And the username is Joe. Email is olujo@yahoo.com. And I can decide to make Olujo administrator, or I can make Olujo a regular user, depending on who Olujo is. So if this email is active, the moment I click create, it's going to send a link to this email. And with that link, Olujo will be able to reset his password and be able to log into GitLab. Okay. Another way of doing that is, as admin, you can also click edit right here, and you have the opportunity to actually type in a password for Joe. Now, if that is what you're doing, we can now tell Joe, I just created an account for you. Your username is Joe and your password is password. So Joe can come in and log in and type the password. So the good thing with this now is going to prompt Joe to change his password. Now Joe cannot come there, type the password I gave to Joe. Now it can change his password by typing new password that I don't know about. Okay? Now Joe can log in to his account and start managing things. And this is how to create accounts on GitLab. Okay, so let me log out as Joe and log back in as root. Okay, so we created a couple of groups, two to be precise. We created two groups, Team B and Team A. Now, let's go in this group. And there are different ways to do this. We can create a project inside a group, okay? If we do new projects, you can see the team is right here, Team B. And if we don't want to make this project to be created under Team B, all we need to do is just click on this and we can create this on Team B or Team A. As a matter of fact, we can create it under who? Root. Okay? You can create that under root. But in this case, we're going to create that under Team A, and we're going to call this group this project iPhone 6. Okay? Initialize the repository, make it a private project, and we can create the project. And now we have a project. This is a project. This project is created under the group Team A, and the project name is iPhone 6. Now, the project is empty. All we have in the project is just the README file. Now, developer will have to clone this project and be able to start their work, okay? I like to install a client. So as a developer, of course, a developer will have a client machine, and you can install tools like Git Bash. So Git Bash is a Git client where you can run your Git on your local machine. If you don't know how to install Git Bash, all you need to do is Google and do Git download. And you're going to come to the official website of Git. You can go to the official website of Git and just download Git. When you download Git, it gives you the Git Bash also. And this is the Git Bash, okay? And what this means is that you can run your Git command from that Git Bash and do a pull and a push. Okay. Um, so I can either clone using HTTPS or use SSH. I can clone using either of these two, okay? And personally, I like to use the SSH, okay? To use the SSH, you have to create a public and a private key. To use the HTTP, you just need to use the credential that we have for you. If you're cloning as Joe, then you have to use Joe as your username. It's going to prompt for your username and password. But if you're using SSH, then you have to create SSH key, which I'm going to show you right now. So we can do SSH key, and we can generate a key. So I already have a key. A key already exists, so I'm not going to override my key. So I'm going to do no, and I'm going to go get my key from this location. In your own case, you will have to do yes, 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 and you have to watch out for this location where your key is going to be. So this is my key right here, where it says public key. This is my public key, and this is my private key. Now, I am going to open my public key, and I'm going to copy my public key right here. And I am coming to my settings on GitLab. And right here, I have SSH key. Click on that, and I'm going to paste my key here. So pretty much all you need to tell your developers that want to clone from this repository, have them create a private and a public key and send you the public key. Once you get a public key, you can go to settings and go to SSH key and have their key added. So this is my key right here. You can have multiple keys in there, okay? So after I have the key added, I can simply go back to my project. Now I have one project under this group. Can click on that project now. Click on the project and I can come to SSH, click on this SSH, and now I can do from this place, I can do git clone. I just copied something from here. See, I copied this, I can paste it here. What I'm doing is I am cloning this repository, iPhone 6. And by the time I click enter, it's no longer going to ask me for a username and password because I already presented my public key, okay? And by the time I'm done, we should see a directory that says iPhone 6. That directory is my repository, okay? And you can see it says cloning into iPhone 6. It's cloning into iPhone 6. One other thing I also want you to take note in this repository, you will notice that it says master right here, master, which means I am cloning from the master branch. I am cloning from the master branch. So if I come back here, we can see the repository right here. In order for me to work on the repository, I have to do cd iPhone 6. Now I am in the repository and we can see where it says master. Okay. Another way to tell you in a repository, if you do ls space -la, which shows you hidden file, you're going to see a .git directory. This shows you this directory right here is a Git repository. So now, as a developer, let's say I'm working on my code in this repository. The first thing I want to do is I want to create my own branch because I don't want to work on the master branch. In order to create my own branch, there are multiple ways you can do it. You can do git branch and look for the name of your branch. Say my name is Joe. I can just type Joe. And if I type enter, it's going to create Joe branch. Or I can say git checkout -b Joe. It means checkout to a branch called Joe. If the branch doesn't exist, apparently it's going to create it. So I'm going to do git branch Joe, which means create a branch, call it Joe, enter. And if I do git branch is to show me all the branches I have. It's going to say I have a branch called Joe and I have a branch called master. But you see this star indicates that I am currently on the master branch. Now, how do I change? Because I don't want to work on the master branch. So in order to change to Joe's branch, I will have to do git check out Joe. Now I'm saying check me out of the master branch to Joe's branch. You see? Switch to branch Joe. Now if I do git branch like I did before, now you see I have the star on Joe. Now I'm on Joe's branch. So as a developer now I can start writing my code. Let's create a file and call it test. And I'm just going to just testing repository. So I just created a file called text. So now, in order for me to add a new file into my branch, I have to do git add. I can either add the file test, or I can say git add dots. Dot simply means update everything in that directory. Any new thing in that directory, add it. Okay? Or I can specify a particular file or directory I'm adding. Okay? But personally, I like to do the dots. Okay? Git add dot. And this is going to add that to my repository. Okay? Now that I have that added, I can now say git commit. After adding a file, you have to commit. And we can put the AM flag to put a comment. Some people will put a flag and it's going to open a file. You write a comment, but I like to do the AM flag, and I can just put my comment and say initial file. Okay, that's my comment. That's my commit comment. Okay, and please, anytime you are writing a comment on your comment, please write something that makes sense, that other people can read and make sense of what you're doing. Okay? Don't go with what I just wrote. just make sure you are explaining in detail what you're doing so that when another person look at your commit, they can make sense of what you're doing. So I just committed this. So one other thing to take note of, anytime you're pushing to a repository for the first time, anytime you're pushing to a repository for the first time, you notice this is the first time we are, I'm sorry, anytime you're pushing to the branch for the first time, note that this is the first time we are pushing to the branch, Joe. We want to say something like git push origin Joe. So we want to say git push origin Joe. Anytime you're pushing for the very first time, okay? Anytime you're pushing for the very first time. If you're pushing the second time, you don't have to apply the origin. As a matter of fact, if you're already in Joe's branch, you don't even need to apply Joe. You can just say git push because it's already in Joe's branch. It knows it's pushing to Joe's branch. But the first time you're pushing, you want to specify git push origin Joe. And this is going to push to origin Joe. So now, if I come to this graphical interface and I refresh this page, look at the master branch. We still have the same thing on the master branch. It was like nothing happened. But if I change this now, you see I have a branch called what? Joe. And if I click on Joe's branch, I can see my comment. Initial what? Initial file. Right there. Initial file. And if I open the initial file, I can see what I type in, just testing my repository. But if I go back to my master branch is still empty. My master branch is still empty. Another thing I want to talk to us about also is how to assign membership to different repositories. You know, say we have a lot of people working on this project, iPhone 6, and we want to give just 2 or 3 people permission to be able to work on this repository. We can come to settings and go to members. You see where it says members, click on members, and this is the project right here. We can start by typing names of people. Like we have Olujo right here. And where it says choose a role of permission, we can decide which role of permission we want to give to Olujo. We may want to give guests. Of course, you know what that means. There is limited access to do things. We may want to give maintainer. We may want to give developer. And when we do that, we also, and you can read more about the role you are giving to this person. This tells you about the role. And we can also, what did I do? So this tells you about the role you are giving to your user. See, right here, pretty much developer can do a lot of things, can download project, can leave comment, so this will tell you what they can do. Look at guest. Guest has limited things they can do, okay? So, and we can also assign expiration date. I can say I want this access to expire 2029. The moment I add this to the project, you will notice the owner is Roots. Did you see Roots? And this is my team. It's owned by Roots. But the moment I had this project, now I'm going to see another member, which is Joe. And it says Joe is what? A developer. And you can still change the permission from here. You can modify the date also. And you can delete the user. Say the user is out of the organization. You can delete or is on another project and you don't want the user to have access to this project anymore. You can delete the user from this project. So another thing we're going to look into is merging. So remember, Joe, who is a developer, developed a code from here, develop a code from his workstation. And the content is a simple file called test. And he pushed that code to his own branch, okay? To his own branch of the project. But the master branch is a different branch, which is the master branch. Nobody is pushing to the master branch directly. So what Joe can do in order to merge to the master branch is create a merge request. So a merge request is a way of saying, I'm done with my code and I would like to promote my code so that my code can be merged to the master branch. So now Joe is going to create a merge request. And there are so many things that goes into this, but I'm just going to talk about it. Of course, you want to write a comment on your margin, okay? You want to write a comment. You want to assign who is going to, do the margin, okay? And which branch are you merging from? Your source branch is Joe, and the target branch that you want to merge to is what? Is master, okay? And now you're saying the lead source branch when merge request is accepted. Pretty much, once the merge request is accepted and is merged to the master, then you're saying, I don't need the source again because the master now has the change that I implemented. Let's try that, okay? And we can do what? We can submit the merge request. And when you look at this side, you will see merge request. We have one merge request. We have it here too. You will see it in so many places. You can click any of these. If I click one merge request, of course, the person you assign it to will see this. And they can click on this merge request, and they can come merge when pipeline succeeded. You can say merge immediately. If I click on merge immediately, you see merge in progress. So by the time this merge is completed, it's going to delete, source branch is being deleted. Did you see this? Source branch is being deleted. And by the time we're done, and the merge request now is 0. So if everything works as we plan, by the time so as we can see, now we have our merge here, which is our file test, just testing my repository. And when we go back here, it should actually delete this repository. But we can see that we have our merge in the master branch. now. So there are so many things we can do with GitLab. Like I said, I just want to show us how to create a repository, pull repository, merge, create new users, and apply our SSH key. And however, there are so many things, like I said, there are so many things we can do from this guy. Currently, we have one project, we have 2 users, we have 2 groups. Our project, we have our project iPhone 6 that we created under group A. We have users, Olujo, and administrator, and we have these 2 groups. Please play around with GitLab. There are so many other things you can learn. GitLab is so robust right now. It's one of the best CI/CD tool also. So play with GitLab, and I will be uploading more videos on the CI/CD part the next time. Thank you.